What's going on YouTube? Today is December 21st, 2025, 1:11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Quick metal price check. Gold 43.40.13 up 5.39. Silver 67.25 up 161. Platinum 1984 flat up 55.25. Palladium 1738.23 up 32.28. Gold to silver ratio, wow, 64, hit the wrong button, 64.54. CMI. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Do your own research, form your own opinions. These are merely mine. If you could take a moment to like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. I want to get to 3,100 subs by Christmas, which is 4 days away. Soon to be 3. Man, that's nuts. So, hit that button. And by the way, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate. I had an interaction the other day. Yeah, I spend a lot of time on forums. And this really pisses me off. A guy seemed to be a very new stacker. Posts the question publicly in a group, asking, well, how much can I sell my war nickels for? You know, what is somebody willing to pay on average? And there were a lot of really good answers. And there were also a lot of really bad ones. Okay? And all I simply said was, they're not very loved. $1 to $2 per. And yes, that is a low ball figure. And there's a reason I gave him that. See, we have responsibility as seasoned stackers to not just throw out an answer and not explain why. Right? And I got some trolls, and I got this one troll because he's a war nickel lover. And don't get me wrong, I mean, most of them are beat up and look like hell. But take this one. This one's like BU, man. That's a beautiful 35% war nickel. Even so, most shops don't like them because they don't sell well. Most shops don't buy them all the time. Some do. And again, you know, and I went on to say this, know your market. Know your exit strategy. And the reason I said $1 to $2, first of all, 18 war nickels make an ounce of silver. And I got a lot of them for $1 to $2 a piece. So I can't tell you how many I have because I don't know. It's a fair amount. You know, I'm not breaking records here, and I never wanted to with war nickels because they're not super loved. And it's important for us as seasoned stackers to elaborate on our answers. And this one guy goes, why don't you sell them all to me for $2? I said, well, I'm not selling right now. And he took it very offensively that I didn't have the opinion that he had that war nickels sell for $3 to $4 a piece. And he based it off the melt value. I get it. I get it. But that's not always realistic. You can have something with a melt value, and at the time it was like all these guys were posting screenshots, melt value of a war nickel, $3.65 an ounce or whatever it was, $3.69. I mean per nickel. And I did the math, and they were correct. But here's the thing: if what you have nobody wants, or a small minority of people want, it's not very liquid, is it? And if you have to liquidate some or all of it, preferably not all, and preferably not some until you're ready, until retirement, whatever your goals are, but if you have to liquidate some or all of that, and you have to do it quickly, it doesn't matter what the melt is if it's not desired. Now, sure, you can find a collector that wants a war nickel or a certain war nickel or just war nickels in general or a damn near BU war nickel. I mean, this is a pretty war nickel. Sure. But you have to find that person or they have to find you. You have to agree upon a price. You have to meet up or do the shipping, whatever the agreement is. But if you're in a situation where you need money today, tomorrow, yesterday, whatever it is, you very well may find yourself in a position with 35, 40%, even 90, just drop something, even 90, depending on your market, even 10 ounce bars, 5 ounce bars, 1 ounce rounds, 1 ounce ASEs. Just because it's silver doesn't mean your shop's always going to buy it or always going to buy it at a fair price. And sure, you have online bullion dealers that a lot of times will buy most stuff, not all. But you have that wait period. You know, you got to get a hold of them, get your quote. You have to do the shipping, hope it shows up, have them, check it out, verify it, and then pay you. And, most of them probably use an ACH, which probably takes a day or two, depending on banks. So, these were, points that I brought up. and this is where he really got under my skin. He said, you intentionally tried leading this guy down a bad path. I took that personally. Any of you who know me, who watch me, I would think, if you're being honest, would say that's very, very much not how I conduct myself. I never said don't stack 40%. I never said don't stack 35%. I did point out that neither should be the fundamental of a stack, and if you had to pick one or the other, 40 would be better than 35, but it still should not be the fundamental base of your stack. Should you have some? Sure, if you want them. Is it imperative? No. It's not something you have to have. And I explained to him, I said, your answer telling him that you can get $4 per, or close to $4 per with no problem, that is an emotional based response. Or I said, or it shows me your lack of understanding of the markets and you've never tried to liquidate it. And or if you have, you've had a good experience that is not indicative to the average experience. And you need to be more forthcoming about that. More understanding about that. And he didn't like that. And I don't think he understood it. And it's funny because there were actually a few guys in there saying, look, I own a shop in this part of the country, whatever it was. And there was more than one. And they pretty much said what I said. They said, listen, I'll sell them to you for $2.50, $3 all day long because nobody wants them. They sit on my shelf. Nobody buys them. And they're taking up space. Where I can have inventory that'll make me profit. And that's the reality. Just because your shop will buy them for melt value or close to it doesn't mean most will. Doesn't mean all will. And there was a really, really, really fantastic comment in there that said, look, when you're dealing with 35, 40%, expect to get about 80% of melt. And I would agree with that. I would agree that if I can move it, because I can't always, if I could move it, I would expect between 73 and 80, 82% of melt for 35 and 40. That's just the way it works. Most of the time. So, moral of the story is, be careful who you listen to. Moral of the story is, be responsible in your answers to people. There is no cut and dry answer, especially when somebody's new to the sport or the hobby. And I also explained to him, I said, shame on you, dude. Shame on you. These are lives. These are finances. You don't know how far deep he's going to go down this rabbit hole thinking that war nickels are the end-all be-all because of what you said. And you bear responsibility for that to some degree. As does the person who does it, that needs to do thorough and extensive research before doing so. And I don't know that that's what he's going to do, but he might. I don't want that on my hands. I don't want that on my conscience. I'd rather tell somebody the truth. I say, look, stack them if you like them, but understand this, that, and the other. That's what we do. And I need to replace this tube, man. It's busted. I don't know if y'all can see that. Where's my lid? I don't even know. But, yeah, this tube is haggard, man. Can you all see that right there? Yeah, these hard tubes, you drop them in your safe. They don't hold up well. That's why I don't care for them. That's why I bought a ton of these bad boys. So I'll throw those in there. And instead of saying 90% on the top, it'll say 40, just because it's easier for me to identify what is in my stack at a quick glance. And to me, that's important. I'm sorry, but it is. It might not be to you, but I like to have an idea. And don't get me wrong, I don't have an idea of the total amount of silver I have. I just don't. It's really that simple. I just don't. And I've told you all this. I can give you maybe a rough estimate, but I don't know. But when I open up one of my safes and I look inside, I like to be able to look at, you know, a tube of half dollars and say, hey, that's a tube of halves, 40%. That's, you know, what is it, like 2.85 ounces or something? I don't know. I'm not a huge 40% guy. I don't hate it. Yeah, that thing was tattered. I don't hate it. I don't, you know, I like it because it's silver. I don't stack a lot of it. I want to look at, you know, a tube of 90% dimes. And no, I got 3.57 ounces right there of 999. I've got 2.85 or 2.93 or 95, whatever the 40% is. I don't remember. I'm sorry, offhand. I like to be able to look at that and be like, I've got X amount of 999 silver. I like to look at a tube of halves, you know, or a tube of quarters of 90% and say, I've got 7.15 ounces of fine silver. That's important to me. Might not be to you. That being said, Merry Christmas. Like, subscribe, comment. Be responsible. Hell, share the video. Be responsible in your own stacking. You know, you are your own first responder, and that comes to physical threats. That comes to, this is not legal advice, that comes to financial security, that comes to prepping food and water and ammunition and the tools used for those things, potentially body armor. You are your own first responder, financially and otherwise. Okay? So be very vigilant in who you listen to and what you do. And treat each other, follow the golden rule, in my opinion, treat each other as you would have them treat you by doing the same. If you don't know something, to answer a question to a stacker, a prepper, you know, whatever it is, if you don't have the information, number one, you should know that you're not qualified to answer that. And there's no shame in saying that. In fact, it's very respectable to say, you know, I suspect, I think, but I'm not sure. Double check me. Triple check me. But this is what I think. That's okay. But if you emotionally, you know, or based on ego, tell somebody something with absolute certainty and conviction that's wrong or only a partial truth, don't be that guy. You know, don't be the emotional guy that tells someone, yeah, man, you're going to get $4 for your, between $3 and $4 for your war nickels all day, every day, no matter what, at this price, because you like them emotionally. It's very dangerous. It's very selfish. It's very wrong. Merry Christmas. Keep your head on a swivel and keep stacking.